Hello and welcome. I am Arumba. Thank you for joining me. So, the 1.10 patch for Crusader Kings 2 is coming out on 5/28/2013. That's tomorrow as of today's recording. And because of that, the patch notes have been released, all of them. We can see everything that's changed. There's a lot of changes here. I'm not going to read through all of them, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on the ones that I thought were important. So I've copy-pasted the changelog and then deleted the ones that I didn't think mattered as much. They're all still important, so if you're really active in the game, I'd recommend you read the whole changelog, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on the ones I really care about. So, major changes. Completely revised technology system. I think this is fantastic because the current technology system is very non-player based. Like, you basically ignore it. It just happens automatically. You don't have to really do anything. One of the things I read in one of the dev diaries, though, that you need to be aware of is that only Duke and higher characters will have the ability to modify technology. Otherwise, it's just based off of your liege, the person above you. So, the technology system is it's one of the most exciting parts, one I'm looking forward to the most. Revised buildings to fix the tech system, or to fit the tech system. The raiding and loot system, of course, which is what we've been seeing for the Vikings. The revised religious authority system with holy sites for all religions. We're going to have major rivers which are only navigable by the Norse pagans. Norse pagans can do prepared invasions. All pagans and Zoroastrians can take concubines. This is pretty exciting. I'm going to have some fun with that. Not only are we going to murder you and take your land and take all your money, but we're also going to take your wife. And we're not going to marry her. We're just going to make her a slave. That's funny. Multiplayer should now work between all three platforms. I don't do too much multiplayer at this point, but this is a good fix. I'm happy to see that the game is getting better about this type of thing. There's a new bookmark for the Mongols, which is exciting. There's also now a Merchant Republic for the Amalfi, and a new terrain type. Now, hopefully, what I'm really hoping for is that the more terrain types they add, I know that some of the other mods like A Game of Thrones and Elder Kings use terrain to try to modify combat scores and things. The more terrain types they add, the more is available for modders to use. And if they even make it possible to create your own terrain types, then that would be better. As it is right now, my understanding is there's a limited number of terrain type slots, and you can rename them and change their statuses, but you can't add new terrain types. So, I don't know, hopefully them adding more will help us. Added court search option to the character finder, which lists only characters in your court. That's nice. I like customization and more in the interface that lets it's an ease of use type of change. You can also mark characters as special interest from the character view. Again, this is a massive change because I think probably 80% or more of people don't even know about special interest because it's a hidden button. You've got to right click on the you got to right-click twice even to find it. Now it's just going to be right on the character page. So more people will be like, hey, what's that? And then start using it. And it's a very useful feature. On top of that, if a character of special interest dies, they will now be removed. So it automatically updates. There was one other change here that I actually must have deleted. No, it's here. Landed characters of special interest who die now pass on their special interest status to their heir. So let's say that you're playing and you want to pay attention to what's going on with the King of Sweden, and you just want to stay up to date on Sweden. They're like, that's your upcoming invasion or something, and that character dies. Well, it'll automatically update to the next King of Sweden, which is very useful. Very good for ease of use. The outliner, clicking on a family palace now opens the Republic view. That's an easy shortcut to get up there. I like that. The Republic view fixes a glitch with Trade Post Limit tooltip. What would happen is that if you added if your technology, like you finished a building or you had a new character would get born or something, sometimes it wouldn't always display the right number and you had to hover over it to see the actual number. Improve the tooltip on the Diplo Relations map mode. I don't know exactly what the change is, but I'm very excited to see what it is, because the Diplomatic Relations map mode is nice on a visual level. You can click on a county and see who likes who and who doesn't like who. But if you hover over counties, the tooltip is essentially useless. It's very muddled. Like I have to, it's one of those things, it's like plugging in a USB into your computer, where you have to look at it 3 times. I have to hover over a character, okay, so that's his opinion of him. No, it's the other one. And then I go and I look at that other guy's opinion of him. And then I realized, oh wait, no, it was the right one. It was the first one. It's always the first one. You always get it right the first time. You got to go back and look at it. Now I'm hoping it's more clear about this character has this opinion of this person, and that should be nice. Improve the create and usurp title tooltip so it shows more info even if some requirements are false. Again, these types of changes make me happy when it makes it easier for the player to understand what's happening. So this should make it so that if you can't usurp or create a title, it will be clear as to why. Even if you don't meet the requirements, it'll highlight or show you in a better way. And also, like, if you're just not able to usurp it, you'll be able to see why. Because you might think, I should be able to usurp that, but then you can't. And so this will make it clear. Hey, multiple crash issues have been fixed. Hopefully they mean by that the retinue, the Republic retinue bug is gone. And also that the periodic autosave bug will be gone. This change here is massive and has not been talked about. Liege levies now have 0 morale when raised. 0 morale when raised. They're like mercenaries now. So you can't just raise an army on top of a spawned rebel engagement or something and just instantly kill the army. You can't just declare war and 3 seconds later go attack. You've got to actually raise the morale of your liege levies before you can do anything with them. This is huge. I can't believe they haven't talked about this more, but this is a big change, and I think a good one. I think this is a very appropriate change because honestly, I liked the fact that I could kill rebels and I could be really aggressive with my armies and, oh, you've sent some men into my territory, well, I'll just raise an army on top of you, and I just always laugh at it and say, boo, we gotcha. But I'm excited about this because it's more realistic. It's less gamey, so we've got to learn how to play around it, but I think it's a good change. Bastards can now marry normally, and if they have children, they'll start a new dynasty. Kind of makes sense. When I think of bastards, I always think of Jon Snow from A Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire. You know, if he were to get married, he'd become, he'd create his own dynasty, maybe pick his own name. Birth rates are reduced a lot. This will help out with the speed of the game. Having fewer characters means the game will run faster. It also means you have to be more careful with your characters, and you also have to consider some of the other traits to try to improve your fertility. You now need more than 50% of the de jure counties to usurp or create a title. Again, this is a huge change. It used to be 50% on the dot. So where this is going to have the biggest impact is on 2-county duchies. If you have a 2-county duchy, you can no longer create the duchy and then have a de jure claim on the other person. Now you have to take over the other person's land yourself, have both counties, and then you can create the duchy. This is going to make it even harder for Ireland to form, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's also going to make it so that it's no longer just a gold race. Who can get enough money to create the duchy first? So I think it's a good change. I don't know. I mean, you have to have. I think if you're the Duke of Leinster or whatever, you hold those titles and you want to call yourself a duke, you should have all the land that requires you to be a duke. Just makes sense to me. Increase max distance to hire mercs. That means that more mercenaries will be available on the map. You're now allowed to switch commanders if no crown laws apply, or no crown law applies. This is awesome because you have to have low or higher in order to do it. But if there is no crown law, like the crown hasn't even been formed, you can't do it, which was dumb. Now it's not that way. Rework the penalty for overrunning your max domain size so it now does not crush small domains completely. So this is good. If you've got a single title, like a character that can only hold one holding, and they have 2, the penalty is minus 100% income because they're 100% over their limit. And they would have no income for 2 counties. So this is good for things like mayors and single county barons, like little single holding barons. Prisoners who are close relatives to main participants will now automatically be released. That's good. This one I love. I love this change. Demand conversion now also converts the court of the recipient. So if you conquer the Greeks and then you let's not use culture. Let's say you conquer a new area and they're the wrong religion and you demand them to convert and they have enough opinion to do it. Now every character in their court also converts. So it's just so much simpler. It streamlines things. I love it. Revise Gavelkind succession to work better and be smarter about titles that characters already hold. And then this one as well. Prevented Gavelkind exploit where you could grant your oldest child and heir extra titles before succession. So basically, if you do that, it's going to know who has what, and it's still going to give titles away to your other kids. Made the event where people claim they would make a better counselor rarer. I like that, because if I don't feel like changing my damn counselor, then stop bothering me about it. Vassal, like, because sometimes you don't want the character that has the best stat. You want the vassal that has the most power, because you need opinion with him. And just because some lowborn courtier who has one extra point in diplomacy wants to be your chancellor, screw off. Leave me alone. Why are you bothering me with this? So I like that change. Vassal religious heads can now grant the invasion CB. So it's no longer just the top level of a religious head. It can be vassal religious heads. So if you've got, how does that work? I think in the Byzantines you can have like the different sects to the religion and things like that. So it makes more invasion CBs is what I'm taking away from it. Increased chance of getting inbred. That's lovely. Most randomly generated men now start out lowborn instead of having a dynasty. And then there's a few de jure empires that were added. The Empire of Italia, Empire of Tartaria, the Wendish Empire, Carpathia, Mali, and Abyssinia. So this is going to help out with stability of large areas of land. Kingdom of Italy is now a de jure part of the Holy Roman Empire in 1066. That means that Italy should not rebel quite as often. Or even if they do, it will stay part of, like the Holy Roman Empire will just take it back. Outsiders can now ask to join other claimant wars. So that I like this. I like the fact that, hey, if I want that guy in power, I should be able to join him. Added a Muslim caliphal subjugation casus belli, like the Pagan one. That's nice. Tribal titles can no longer de jure assimilate duchies and kingdoms. This means that the pagans and tribal leaders are not going to be able to stay pagan. Like, they're not going to create their own de jure duchies and kingdoms just for holding the land for a long time. They're kind of like the wildlings above the wall. Tribal titles are now destroyed if held by someone with normal titles of the same or higher tier. So if, say, the king of Poland decides to expand to the northeast and takes over tribal land, those titles die, and he'll have to create the normal feudal titles again instead of the tribal titles. Added a number of tribal tags, mostly intended for the 867 start. Added a new ambition, become the king of X, cannot be cancelled. I like this. I like the idea of ambitions that can't be cancelled. And we're almost to the end here, so the AI. This one I think is funny, but I'm also very happy about. Tweaked the military AI to be a bit smarter. Anything that can be done to improve the AI is going to be good. Fixed a bug where the AI would disband holy orders, even if they were fighting religious enemies and could afford them. That's a good example of making the AI a bit smarter. Why would they release holy orders if they have the ability to afford them and they're fighting religious enemies? That should never happen. They will no longer attempt to use holy orders to siege enemy provinces of the same religion. Again, why wasn't that in the game before? Why in the hell was the AI trying to use holy orders to siege enemies of the same religion? That should never happen. They know that they can't fight them, so they can't actually affect the siege. Muslims will now make use of holy orders when fighting other Muslim faiths, so Shia versus Sunni, that's good. Will not create claimant factions for the parents of the current ruler. God, that is so dumb. So you've got Junior on the throne, and Mom or Dad or whatever is still somehow alive, and has a claim to the title somehow, or even if they don't, they're the parents of the current ruler. So the idiots in the realm create a faction to try to put the parent back on the throne. That's stupid. That shouldn't happen. And I'm glad that it doesn't anymore. More careful about raising crown authority to the highest levels. This is a great change because it's so common that the AI will come into power, they'll have a minus 10 short reign opinion modifier or whatever. They'll have tons of minus opinion modifiers for having just come into power. And the very first thing they do, raise crown authority to absolute, which then crashes their opinion with everyone and creates an all-out war, which is stupid. They should be more careful about doing that. And they should also, I think, be more careful about doing it immediately upon succession. Electors will now tend to vote for other dynasties if the reigning one is too powerful. I like this. This reminds me of the what's it called? Balanced power, where if you've got a number of people in a realm and one of them gets too powerful, the smaller groups join up against him. This is how it should work in an electorate. More nasty plots against overly powerful dynasties. Likelier to start and join claimant wars. Claimant factions against overly powerful dynasties if the claimant is of another dynasty. So again, if there is someone, like if the Kaiser's too powerful, his dynasty's been in power forever, and some other person has a claim, they'll probably push his claim. Emperors will now sometimes destroy held kingdom titles. That's good. I do it sometimes. There's a reason for it. It's a reason you're allowed to. The AI should do it too. Will now often join claimant wars pushing their claim for some title. This is a really funny thing, because sometimes, like, some guy's claim is being pushed by a faction, but he's just sitting around saying, "Nuh-uh, I don't want to get involved in any of that." No, if it's your damn claim, you should be involved in the war. They're pushing your claim. Fixed a bug where non-partition baron tier vassals would always say yes to all diplomacy. That's interesting, so that's good that that's fixed. Exported fertility-based multiplier to defines. Anytime things are exported to defines is good for modding. Exported many values to defines. I cannot wait to check out the new file to see what they've added. I love when they do this. It makes it so much better. Traits can now be marked as religious, which will clear them out if a character changes religions. I see huge opportunity in the modding community using this feature. And also, I think that even in regular CK2, well, it's designed for modding. Obviously, it's in the modding section, but it's going to be extremely good because you can make traits that are specific to a religion and can only be used by a certain religion, which is great because if they change religions, they can lose them. Added a parameter to disband on peace events, so you can create more kind of simulation or simulated wars and events where you give them extra men and then they disband. Events spawned subunits will now be marked as not inheritable. Added defensive attrition to religions. This is going to be useful for, I think, like in the Game of Thrones mod, they can use that on the Swamps of Argonia. Just give defensive attrition. That makes it so that their men can move fine. It's not a flat attrition score. It's an attrition score based on your religion and based on the supply limits of a county. Added piety cost and prestige cost to Casus Belli's. This means they are visible to select even if you do not currently have enough piety or prestige. Again, ease of use for the character, or for the player. You should be able to see why you can't use a Casus Belli. They should be listed and then just not enableable if you don't meet the criteria. So this makes it easier for you to know, like, what can I do? So those are the main changes. There's a lot more than that. Again, I mean, there's like a lot more than that. But I deleted the ones that I think weren't that big of a deal. Now, today again is the 27th, so tomorrow at 3 a.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. Pacific is when the 1.1 patch will be released. So just wanted to put this little video out here, talk about the changes. I'm super excited. I'm actually thinking I might play, I'm going to get up early, and I want to play like right away. I'm really geeked about it. So hopefully you're as excited as I am, and I do look forward to seeing you again in episode 1 of Let's Play the Old Gods. We'll see you soon.